We're talking about vertical circulation, and the building code has things to say about that. The building code is all about safety, and stairs are a place with a potential for injury. People can trip or fall down the stairs, and sometimes they're badly hurt, and sometimes their life is changed forever. So this is serious. The code says the stairs cannot be any steeper than a rise of 7 3/4 inches. So you can't have those skinny, really tall steps. Those are not safe, not permitted. And the treads, the place where you put your feet, have to be wide enough to hold your shoe. So at a minimum, they have to be at least 10 inches wide. But what's absolutely critical is that whatever size you make the risers and the treads, they be uniform. What happens when someone climbs a stair is that they take, I don't know, maybe two or three steps, and their nervous system and muscular system begins to memorize where those steps are. And then the automatic system takes over and they don't think about it anymore. So their body is just adjusted to this particular interval. If you have a variation in the height or the run, somebody is likely to fall. So the code says the variation in rise and in run can't be any more than 3/8 of an inch. And to avoid bumping your head, there has to be a headroom. The smallest distance between a tread and a thing up above has to be at least 6 feet 8. More is better. And you can't have steps that go on forever. The maximum rise you can have is 12 foot 3 inches. So the height from the bottom to the top before it's interrupted by a landing. Well, that's pretty high. That's a good one-story height. And about landings, keep in mind people who are old, people who have disabilities, people who have illnesses. If you can break up this flight of steps with landings, it will be easier to climb for people who have physical problems. Now, the handrails are there to prevent people from falling. There's something you can grab hold of to help you as you're climbing, and if you slip, you grab hold of it. So it has to be really easy for your hand to grab. That means the size of the rail has to be within a certain range that's the size of a human hand, 1.25 to 2 5/8. And there has to be a space between the rail and the wall so a person's fingers can get in there. And the height has to be from 34 inches to 38 inches above the floor. You're required to have handrails if you have 3 steps or more. And there's also a requirement on ramps, which we'll look at later. If the stairs are open, you have to have handrails on both sides for obvious reasons. If there's a wall on one side, you don't have to put a handrail on one of the walls. You only need a handrail on one side. Those were handrails. They keep you from falling, and they help you climb the stairs. A guardrail is different. A guardrail is on a landing or a balcony or a deck, and it prevents you from falling from one floor to the lower floor. So a guardrail has to be 36 inches high, and it will have some kind of posts here called balusters. They can't be any farther apart than 4 inches. And I'll bet you can guess why that is. It is so little children can't get their heads stuck in between these, and it was sad experience that caused this code to develop. Little kids were getting their head stuck and having to call the fire department. So 4 inches is the maximum space there. Anytime you have a platform or anything 30 inches above the floor, you're required to have guardrails. So that was the building code for safety. Now how about designing steps so they're comfortable to use? And we want to think about not being too long a flight, too steep a flight, or too short a flight. If you have just one step in a run here, the person's brain is not ready for it, and that is a recipe for tripping and falling. So we want just the right slope, not too steep, not too flat. And if you want to see a too flat slope, try climbing some of the older staircases outdoors at the LCC main campus. You're probably familiar with those. They're not comfortable. Architects use this formula. Here it is in the box. Take the riser, take the tread, go 2 times the riser height plus 1 tread depth. That has to equal 24 or 25. And any combination that gives you that will be comfortable. A very common combination is a 7-inch riser and an 11-inch tread. And you'll remember that code says the risers can't be any higher than 7 3/4, and the treads can't be any shallower than 10 inches. So 7 and 11 falls in that zone. Let's check that with this formula. So a 7-inch riser, 11-inch tread, if we plug that into our 2r plus t formula, we get 2 times the riser, 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14. Then we add the 11-inch tread. 14 plus 11 gives us 25. Perfect! A 7-inch riser and 11-inch tread is perfect for comfort. Outdoors, landscape architects sometimes go to 26 inches. So 24 to 26 is fine for outdoor steps. I have seen a couple of other formulas in stuff from older architects, so I just stick them in here for thoroughness. I have not run into actual people in our area who use these formulas. Most people use the 2r plus t equals 24 to 25, but I'm just saying you might run into this other stuff. And if you try plugging in that 7-inch rise, 11-inch tread into these other formulas, you'll find, oh, it works out the same.